What do you think?
This is unbelievable.
The BMW i8 is 4 very different cars in one package. You've got a small electric city car aided by an electric motor that drives the front wheels. That's good for 55 kilometers of all-electric range. You've got a small hatchback with a 3-cylinder 1.6-litre turbocharged petrol engine driving the rear wheels with excellent fuel economy. They combine to give you a single 4-wheel drive sports car in the looks of a convertible supercar. Just on that last point as well, I know it's a bit contentious. This car only does 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds, which is pretty slow if sports car territory. But this car has the looks and the feel and the ability to make people's day in the same way that a supercar would. So this is proper supercar. Do you want your supercar to be a little bit of everything? Or would the i8 be better if it was all of one thing? I.e., would this be better if it had the all-electric drivetrain of a Tesla, ludicrous acceleration? Or would it be better if it had the petrol engine of a BMW M5? To find out, we do have a thorough day planned, and a day that we hope can test each different component of this car's abilities. We're going to start here in the city, all electric. We're going to go to work, go for coffee, show people the car as well and get their reactions to it. We're going to fill it up with petrol and take a road trip all the way down to a place called Lake Mountain, which is a windy set of roads up in the snow. That should, despite the cold weather, give us the ability to test the 4-wheel drive. And all in all, we'll see what living with the i8 is like. If 4 cars in one is the right approach, or if this car is less than the sum of its parts. We're going to start here in the busy city streets in all-electric mode and treat it as a city car. You can press a button on the center console that says eDrive, and when you do that, it forces the car to use nothing but its electric motor and powertrain. As an electric car, this is one of the slowest and most unimpressive EVs I've ever driven. It's slow, slower than an i3 even, and only has 55 kilometers of all-electric range. However, in practice, I'm finding that to be a beautiful sweet spot. I can plug the car in at night, drive to work, do my errands through the day, and drive home on nothing but electricity. It's endless free driving in most day-to-day situations, and in that sense, 55 kilometers of range doesn't feel like a limitation. It actually feels like an accessory. It's free driving on top of a petrol performance car. The only criticism I have of the car around city streets is with the brake pedal. The car does have regenerative braking, which will use some of the braking force and even the slowing down force to put energy back into the battery and charge it. But around slow city streets, it feels like you've got 2 sets of brakes working at once. The top half of the pedal is very sensitive and gritty, and coming to a standstill can feel a bit lurchy. Quite uncomfortable for passengers. Not a big problem, just something to get used to if you're driving this car in a busy environment. We've now run out of battery. We've gone to dash there on the range, but the car hasn't stopped or slowed down, it's just started the petrol motor. So you can hear this surprisingly sonorous 3-cylinder engine propelling us forwards. As we drive, the petrol engine is also recharging the battery, so our range on battery is also going up. We're refueling the car as we go along. It's a wonderful interplay of the 2 systems. Petrol, though, is... There's the performance. Tell you what, 4.6 feels pretty quick when you've got the torque of the electric motor filling the gap between the gear changes. It's got a wonderful surge to it, doesn't it? And it sounds good. I mean, I'm all an advocate for electric vehicles, but I'm still a bit of a traditional car fan at heart. That sounds really great. Almost like a coarse V6 more than a simple 3-cylinder. Smiles on the face now. Let's get a coffee. Flat white takeaway from the stores. Regular. The best way to describe the way this car looks is striking. It's so interesting. The front end is one of the most pretty noses of a car that I think I've ever seen. It's futuristic and spacey with the appropriate size of BMW kidney grille. The side profile I love. The doors look brilliant. What lets this car down is the design of the rear. I kind of wish they'd stopped designing. They just kept going, adding bits to it. You've got these precarious looking fins here where the air flows through. And if you look just long enough, you'll see that the rear third of the car looks a bit like it's swallowed a Porsche 911. I'll overlay some photos so that you can kind of see what I mean, but it looks like it's swallowed and then is politely exerting a Porsche 991. Overall, you gotta love the supercar looks. Everyone loves a supercar. Now, getting into the car is really quite challenging. You've got these big sills from the carbon tub, and the hinge of the door is oddly enough on the front bit of glass there, whereas something like a McLaren will open up and out and be hinged from the front. You have to wedge yourself under the glass and over the sills at the same time. If you've got something in your hand, the best way to do that is to pull the door, put your ass in, swivel and close in one motion, but it's perhaps the most unelegant car to get in and out of. Cup holders. Got one cup holder here, one at the back as well. Storage space is pretty okay. Nowhere for your sunglasses as usual. You've got an old school phone slot in here. I love the cabin though. I mean, for all of its misgivings inside, it looks like such an occasion and a beautiful place to be. Only very occasionally, if you are on a long day trip, do you have to pull into a place like this. This is what's called a petrol station, which is typically unknown in the world of electric cars. Only because we are going to be doing a couple of 100Ks today is it worth filling up the tank. But what's useful is that the petrol side is also going to recharge the battery side as we drive along. Right, so I've got a lot of numbers to remember here. The car's got a 30-litre fuel tank, and the fuel economy combined with electric and petrol is about 2.6 litres per 100 kilometres. So for 30 litres of petrol, you will do 600 kilometres of combined range on a tank. The benefit is if you do plug it in at night and plug it in at work, you can just keep on driving. There are owners who have reported more than 1,000 kilometres on a single tank of petrol because of the interplay between petrol and electric. It's quite low and awkward down here. Try and look cool. It's part petrol engine, so it's a 3-cylinder 1.5 in the back and an electric motor at the front.
I've seen the convertible.
Yeah, the convertible's new. About 2-3 months old. They haven't been on the road in Australia for long.
Nothing like your little Beamer.
It's very different. It's more like a Ferrari than anything else.
It is, isn't it? That's what I thought it was going to be. Oh, well, drive carefully.
Thank you. Enjoy the day. I've never made so many old friends. It's lovely. Let's do it. Hey Siri, take us to Lake Mountain. BMW's never been good at software. I know they think they're really good at software because you've got the iDrive control and the app that shows you your range, but my feeling about the electric car industry in general is that this is going to be a software-driven industry rather than a hardware industry. That's why car companies like Tesla are excelling in this game. However, the i8 almost has a get-out-of-jail-free card. Because it's in supercar territory, nobody really cares about its impracticalities. They could take away this screen entirely and I'd still enjoy this car just as much. One thing I do really enjoy, I know most modern cars do this now, is that you can put the roof up whilst you are driving. The top speed for this is about 50 kilometers an hour, so just as you are preparing to get onto a freeway, you can move the soft top back into position. Now now you are in a very quiet, comfortable Roadster. There are definitely, without question, piping noise into the cabin. You can almost hear the V6, which is behind you, from the front end of the car. Really strange. It's not a criticism, because it actually sounds really great. It's a really enjoyable car to rev, but that's not the natural sound that this 3-cylinder engine makes. No chance. Once the car settles into a longer run, you can move it out of its sport modes and E-modes into a comfort mode. It is now recharging the battery as we drive. I can see that my range has increased to 10 kilometers of all electric, but mostly the petrol engine is now doing the work for us. What's quite useful about having this electric drive assistant is that you get the instant torque of an electric motor when you try to change lanes in traffic. So if you gently accelerate, you don't get the gears kicking down, you don't have to wait for the turbo to spool up. It just surges and moves you with this symphony of noise. One of those noises is tyre roar as well. There's an ambience that is quite noisy in the cabin. The car does get a bit of a free pass, being a convertible, being a soft top. It's never going to ride as quietly or as comfortably as a Rolls Royce, but it is still quite noisy. The ride is smooth, the damping has a beautifully high quality feel to it, which does mean that it adapts into smooth driving situations very nicely. It still has the firmness of a sports car on a firmer road. That's me driving like a BMW driver as well, but I did, for the viewers, use indicators. I'm really enjoying the split personalities. I didn't think I would. I thought I'd get irritated that it wasn't just petrol or just electric, but I'm enjoying that it will both relax and zip around streets, but also surge along a road like this when you want it to. Coming up to a more dynamic set of roads, we can start to test what this is like as a sports car. And the first impressions are, it's really good fun. I'm using the electric motor a lot more than I thought. When you are accelerating out of a corner, you lean on the torque that the front wheels can provide, and it pulls you out of a bend without too many gear changes. The gearbox is excellent. It's responsive, it's sharp, very fun to use. The brakes, terrible. Really dislike the brakes. You still have this disconcerting 2 sets of brakes feel. Sometimes it will bite and it will grab and slow you down quickly. Other times you feel you've got to keep pressing the pedal. It's almost as though you get a different amount of braking force every time you use the pedal, which could even feel a little bit dangerous on roads like this. The chassis is balanced and composed. You enjoy the 4-wheel drive system more than you expect. You got a lot of confidence coming out of a corner. The car doesn't slip and slide around. It's low, planted, very low center of gravity, and all the stability you could want. What a pretty set of roads. So it's going to be cold, but we might just put the roof down. It's cold. It's cold. Oh, it's worth it. All right, let's make this quick then. Brakes are still gritty. You can use the higher gears and the torque of the front engine will still pull you out of a corner. Oh, you just can't do this in a Tesla. You can't have this level of involvement in a traditional hybrid or EV. All you have to do is look at the smile on my face. It's so much fun. I'm loving the torque. Almost to the point where if it had a few more cylinders, it wouldn't be any different or any better. Wowee. Who knew this road was in Melbourne? You get this wonderful symphony of sounds as well. The hissing of the electric motor, the whir of the turbo, and the grunt of the 3-cylinder engine. They all play a little part in this mystical, futuristic sounding engine that is remarkably a joy to drive to. Right, this is where the snow starts.
How you going, sir?
Very well, how are you?
Yeah, good. Sorry, I can't let you up.
Oh, you can't let us go?
Nah, the mountain's closed now. If you go past that gate, you can lose your license.
Really? No, that's all good. I appreciate you helping me anyway.
No worries, mate. Have a good one. Nice car, by the way.
Thank you. Right. So, as a minor anticlimax, we can't go up to the snow. The problem is the gate shuts at 4:30 and it's 4:40. So we are stuck, not too unfortunately, snaking around these side streets, the other mountain roads within Lake Mountain, giving us enough time to enjoy the sports credibility of the i8. And it's a wonderful machine. I'm having so much more fun in this than I thought I would. And that's not something that you can say about any other kind of electric vehicle. This is in a class of its own, it really is. But it also means that we are going to have to find another big ending to this video, so let's enjoy these roads. Might find a lookout here as well and talk a bit about the car, but then we'll go back into the city. I think we've got a couple of hours to kill now, so we may as well enjoy some of the nightlife and share this car with some people. Wow. We're taking photos of the car and not of the mountain. Yeah.
Can I hold a picture?
Yeah, feel free.
I got that. I'll keep going.
I love being able to share this. This is what I would have done as a kid, and I still do. I love looking at a car and being able to enjoy it. It's so much fun being able to share it. That's why this is a supercar. You wouldn't do that in a sports car. It's got something really special going on about it. It's also got great heated seats, which I'm really missing at the moment. You know, I'm a little bit lost for words. I expected at the start of the day to come back and say that the BMW i8 would be better if it was an all-electric car, or if it had the drivetrain of something like an M5. But absolutely, this is more than the sum of its parts. Purely because it can be whatever car you want it to be, whenever you want it to be that. It can be a small electric city car and take you to work every day with free driving. Or it can be a brilliant sports car, engaging and interactive on these alpine roads. And it can be a supercar. I mean, look at the attention it gets. It has this wonderful ability to make everyone's day. Even filling up with petrol is a sense of occasion. Hands down, I would have a BMW i8 Roadster over even a Tesla Model S 100D or a McLaren 570. But above all, it's got great heated seats, which I desperately need now. So let's go to the city.
I'm Bernard Tomic,
Oh,
yeah.
you're a champ. Now, you know you're driving the best car in the right? No, we're arguing about this. We're sorry. You're on.
I'm a journalist. The road ahead on Channel 7. Podcast,
so-
video stuff. We made a friend.
Sorry guys, can I have a photo with the car?
Yeah, feel free. Go for it.
Thanks man.
Good place in Mexico.
Having a sick car, man.
What do you think?
This is unbelievable. Oh wait, no. Yeah.